Hey guys, this is Daniel Dr. D, and I'm back again with another review, this time on the Magnepan 1.7 eyes. And these panel speakers are really something I've been wanting to get my ears on to for some time now. The dimensions are approximately 65 inches tall, they're 19 inches wide, they're 2 inches deep. They retail for about $3,100 if you want the metal rails on the side. Here on the seams. And this is a full three-way speaker, unlike the point 0.7 or the LRS speaker. And I think that may have something to do with the thickness of it, which is kind of cool. I don't know for sure, but it does generate a very obvious amount of increased bass compared to the point 0.7 or the LRS. So I don't even think subs are necessary for this speaker in most cases. There are some unusual scenarios with stand-up bass in some of the jazz trios or whatever, quintets or whatever with stand-up bass, where you may want to consider a bass drum or bass woofer to augment the sound. But I generally just find that the bass is quite significant already in it. They measure down to 40 hertz all the way up to 24 kilohertz is way beyond what my hearing is. I think my ears measured up to like 13 kilohertz, and that was it. You'd probably have to be a dog or a superhuman to get beyond that. I did one of those tests on YouTube. I don't know how valid they are, but basically the sound faded out for me at 13 kilohertz. Now the amplification that's being used, you'll see a whole SpaceTech lab set up here with preamp and super rectifier. The thing that is incredible is this thing I call the UAP now. It's the Unidentified Audio Phenomena, and this is by SpaceTech Labs. This is a 300B, 200 watts per channel into 4 ohms. And it has a state-of-the-art transformer called OTL transformers. And man, this thing drives Magnepans like nothing I have ever heard, ever. Like by comparison, my Vidar doesn't even compare remotely to this thing, the amount of output this thing puts out. So you'll notice here there are tweeters along here. Like I say, this is a full-range speaker, 3-way. And I think that's kind of cool because, you just don't have to have a sub for everything, like I say. So that's on you. That's something will depend on the room. The room here, we have them 6 feet from the wall. The room is about 15 feet by 25 feet long. And you'll see we have some acoustical panels in the back there to help minimize any reflections coming from the backside. And you want to give these things some good space, some immense amount of power. The kind of amp you drive this with is a maker or breaker. I'm telling you, man. If you don't drive these things correctly, you're not going to get the true fidelity that they deliver, which is just completely holographic, and soundstage is unparalleled. I mean, I don't care if you spend $50,000 on speakers. How little these things cost is just astonishing versus the performance. How do you do this $3,100? I mean, it's insane. We're using a Home Depot cable. It's about $1.25 per foot, and it was recommended by Alan Sides at Ocean Way Audio, and this guy usually does the AGD room at the trade shows, and he does speakers. He's a sound engineer, everything, and I'll post a link on what he did with this. And then what we have here are these attenuators. Now, I don't recommend these things. These things will rob your sound, the power. They'll make your amps run hotter. At least that's what it did for us. And these things just muffle the sound. It's like putting a blanket over the speaker. And in fact, it was just really making it much harder for any amp to drive it. Now, the 300B drives these speakers very minimum heat. I mean, it's like it barely gets hot running these speakers. But these things, man, just stick with the normal U shape, those little metal U brackets that come stock. That's what I recommend. I think OCD Hi-Fi guy, he's got some copper versions of these things that are apparently pretty good, and so that's what's better than using these jumper cable things for the attenuators. And then the regular fuses. Now, OCD Mike's apparently got some kind of copper fuse. It's like $150, $170 or something for a little kit to do it. Some people just bypass the crossover altogether. But man, stock-wise, these things just sound phenomenal right out of the gate. I mean, I don't find anything needing to be desired, and that's a nice place to be. Everybody's like on this ghost chase for ultimate perfection. So these are the cables here. Alan Sides recommends that you don't go any more than 12 feet. And he's got this whole thing where he was at a trade show and they compared these Home Depot cables. They're not even speaker cables, they're electrical cables. And they compared them to like $50,000 cables. And I'm going to link to the story about that. And man, don't underestimate this guy. This guy's a top-notch recording engineer, and this guy has done some platinum records with some of the greatest R&B artists in the world, and so his resume is extremely extensive. Alan Sides, and like I say, he does the rooms at the audio trade shows with AGD, which is solid state amplifiers that use these tubes in them. It's pretty cool. Overall, performance-wise, I mean, the soundstage is incredible. The bass they put out is similar to like what you get with the Klipsch Forte 4, which is about measured. They go down to about 38 hertz. So you're gonna get similar bass performance to that. And there's wheels on the bottom of these stands. They don't produce the kind of earth-moving bass it's going to make the speaker move that much. So, I take it with a grain of salt, as far as, it stands and everything. I mean, they sit still. I mean, you can barely feel them vibrating when they're going. So under this table is where I use my REL T0 just to experiment with it. But like I say, you don't need it for everything that you listen to. And we just found ourselves really blown away with the sound stage. And I would never have thought that a tube gear would be used to run these speakers. But like I say, these Al at SpaceTech Labs, I mean, these things are freakish good, man. They're just a freak of nature, these amplifiers. If you have never heard or used this gear from SpaceTech Labs, man, you have no idea what you're missing. And like I say, the way the amp drives these speakers is like nothing I've ever heard. I want to reiterate that again, because the amount of power to this 300, it's a push-pull design, is just out of this world. And it's jaw-dropping performance. The soundstage is huge. It's holographic, like I say. Beautiful bass. It's just, I just love this speaker. It's incredible in the right settings like this. So stay tuned. I'm going to be back at you guys with some more stuff, including a closer look at the SpaceTech Labs gear, and we'll be back at you and get ready for some sound demos coming up right now.
On the first day of the journey, the traveler was prepared. Words of consolation were never heard. He didn't know where he was going, just a poem in his mind, and all the things he valued and left behind. Running for the money, running for the fame, lost where he was going and forgot his name. The promised land was waiting, his vision led him on. The only promises were waiting.
I like the way you're a little shy. I like the way been quite a while. I'd like to say that you're the sweetest guy. I have to say, you commit sins and you smile. These are the days that we meet, and it's been quite a
Hmm.